I'm standing in the back of a church, watching my wife marry someone else. She doesn't know I'm here. Nobody does. I slipped in during the processional, found a spot behind a stone pillar where the shadows hide me. My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat. She looks beautiful. That's what kills me most. The white dress, the flowers in her hair, the smile on her face, the same smile I used to think was just for me. 6 months ago, she vanished. Literally disappeared after a fight. No note, no text, no explanation, just gone. I filed a missing persons report, hired a private investigator, spent every penny I had searching for her. The police told me she probably just left, that sometimes people need space. I didn't believe them. How could I? We'd been married for 8 years. We had a home. We had plans. We had a whole life together. But now I understand. She didn't need space. She needed a different groom. The man standing next to her at the altar is someone I've never seen before. Tall, successful looking, expensive suit. He's looking at her like she's the only person in the world, the same way I used to look at her. My hands are shaking. I pull out my phone and take photos. The rational part of my brain knows I need evidence. The other part, the part that's screaming and bleeding and dying inside, just wants to see if this is real. It's real. The pastor asks if anyone objects to this marriage. I could speak up right now. I could stand up and show everyone what she really is. But I don't move. Because what I'm planning is so much better than a scene at a wedding. See, I didn't just come here to watch. I came here to gather the final piece of evidence I need. Because my wife, my legally married wife, is committing bigamy. And in this state, that's not just grounds for divorce. It's a felony. I smile for the first time in months. Not a happy smile. The kind of smile you get when you realize the person who destroyed you just handed you the weapon to destroy them back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how I got here. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 33 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. I'm a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company. Nothing fancy, but it pays well. Good benefits. Comfortable life. I met Sarah when we were both 23, fresh out of college, working our first real jobs in the city. She was in marketing. Beautiful, ambitious, smart as hell. She could light up a room just by walking into it. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. We couldn't afford much, but it didn't matter. We were in love. That was enough, or so I thought. The first 5 years of our marriage were good. Really good. We lived in a small apartment in Seattle, saved money, built our careers. Sarah got promoted twice. I switched companies and nearly doubled my salary. We were that couple, the one that had their shit together. The one other people envied. We bought a house when we were 28. A real house with a yard and a 2-car garage. 3 bedrooms because we were planning to have kids. Not right away, but someday, when the timing was right. "This is it," Sarah said the day we got the keys. She was standing in the empty living room, spinning around with her arms out. "This is where we're going to raise our family, where we're going to grow old together." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We spent that whole summer renovating, painted every room, refinished the hardwood floors, planted a garden in the backyard. Sarah picked out every detail, the light fixtures, the cabinet hardware, the backsplash in the kitchen. She was obsessed with making it perfect. "I want this to be our forever home," she told me one night. We were sitting on the back porch, drinking wine, admiring our work. "It will be," I said. I had no idea I was living in a lie. Looking back now, I can see the signs. But at the time, I was blind. Or maybe I just didn't want to see. It started small. Sarah worked late more often. She'd come home at 9, 10, sometimes 11 at night. "Big project," she'd say. "Crazy deadlines." I didn't question it. I'm in tech, I understand crunch time. Her phone became more important. She took it everywhere. Bathroom, bedroom. Even when she showered, it was within arm's reach. If I asked who she was texting, she'd say it was work, or her sister, or a friend planning a surprise party. "You're paranoid," she laughed once when I asked why she changed her phone password. "I'm not paranoid," I said. "I'm just wondering why you suddenly need privacy from your husband." "It's not privacy from you. It's just privacy. Everyone deserves some space, Marcus." I dropped it, because that's what you do when you trust someone, right? You give them the benefit of the doubt. Biggest mistake of my life. The distance between us grew slowly, like ice forming on a pond. You don't notice it happening until one day you step on it and fall through. Sex became less frequent. Once a week became once a month, became almost never. When I brought it up, she said she was stressed, tired, not feeling well. There was always a reason. "Maybe we should see a counselor," I suggested. "We don't need a counselor, Marcus. We're fine. Every couple goes through phases like this." I wanted to believe her. So I did. We stopped having date nights, stopped planning vacations, stopped talking about our future. The house that was supposed to be full of life and laughter became a place where we just coexisted. Two strangers sharing space. Are you happy? I asked her one night. We were in bed, lying back to back, both staring at opposite walls. Of course I'm happy, she said. But she didn't turn to look at me. That should have been my clue. 3 weeks before she disappeared, we went to her company's holiday party. I hated those events, forced small talk with people I didn't know, pretending to care about office politics. But Sarah insisted I come. It's important for my career, she said. Partners are supposed to show up to these things. So I went. I put on a suit, pasted on a smile, and played the supportive husband. Sarah was different that night, energized, alive. She laughed louder than I'd heard her laugh in months. She worked the room like a politician, shaking hands, making jokes, commanding attention, and I stood in the corner drinking overpriced wine, wondering when I'd become so irrelevant to her. Your wife is amazing, one of her coworkers told me. We're so lucky to have her on the team. Yeah, I said. She's something else. On the drive home, she was buzzing. That was incredible, she said. Did you see how engaged everyone was? I think I really made an impression tonight. You always make an impression, I said. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and for just a second I saw something in her eyes, something like pity or maybe guilt. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine, I lied. You seem distant lately. The irony of that statement didn't escape me, but I didn't say anything. I just drove us home, parked in our garage, and went to bed. 2 weeks later, we had the fight that changed everything. I thought we were forever. I was so wrong. The fight started over something stupid. It always does, doesn't it? I asked Sarah if she wanted to go to my company's holiday party, just like she dragged me to hers. Fair is fair, right? I can't, she said. She didn't even look up from her phone. I have plans that night. What plans? Just plans, Marcus, with friends. Which friends? Why are you interrogating me? I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking a simple question. Which friends? She looked at me then, cold, annoyed, like I was bothering her. People from work. You don't know them. So let me get this straight, I said. My voice was getting louder. I couldn't help it. I have to go to your work events and smile and play nice with your coworkers, but when I ask you to come to mine, you have plans with people I don't even know? It's not the same thing. How is it not the same thing? Because it's just not, Marcus. God, why do you have to make everything so difficult? I'm making things difficult? Are you serious right now? The argument escalated from there, voices raised, accusations thrown. All the resentment from months of distance came pouring out. You're never home, I shouted. Because I'm working. Someone has to actually care about their career. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're content being mediocre, Marcus. You're content with your boring job and your boring life and your boring— She stopped herself, but we both knew what she was about to say. My boring what, Sarah, say it? My boring marriage? She didn't answer, just grabbed her purse and her keys. Where are you going? Out. I need space. We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You're suffocating me, Marcus. I can't breathe in this house anymore. The door slammed. I heard her car start, tires screeching as she backed out of the driveway. I stood there in the kitchen, shaking, trying to process what just happened. She'll cool down, I thought. She'll come back in a few hours. We'll talk. We'll figure this out. But she didn't come back. Not that night. Not the next day. Not the next week. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her email bounced back. I drove to her office and they told me she'd called in sick. I called her parents and they said they hadn't heard from her. 3 days after she left, I filed a missing persons report. The police were not helpful. How long have you been married? The officer asked. 8 years. Any history of domestic violence? What? No, never. Has she left before? No, this is completely out of character. The officer looked at me with tired, skeptical eyes. Sir, with all due respect, most missing persons cases involving adults are people who don't want to be found. Has your marriage been good lately? I hesitated. That hesitation told him everything he needed to know. Look, he said, not unkindly. Give her some time. People go through things. Sometimes they need space to work stuff out. If she's in actual danger, we'll find her. But 9 times out of 10, these situations resolve themselves. So you're not going to do anything? We'll file the report. Keep an eye out. But honestly, my guess is she'll reach out when she's ready. I left the station feeling helpless, useless, terrified. I hired a private investigator, a guy named Derek who used to be a cop. He was expensive, $200 an hour plus expenses, but I didn't care. I needed answers. I'll be honest with you, Derek said during our first meeting. If she doesn't want to be found, it's not that hard to disappear, especially if she's smart about it. Does she have her own bank account? We have a joint account, but she has her own credit card. Have there been any charges? I'd been checking obsessively. Nothing. It's like she vanished into thin air. Derek nodded slowly. That's unusual. Most people slip up, use an atom, buy gas, something. If there's no paper trail, that means she's either being very careful or what? Or someone's helping her. That thought hadn't occurred to me, but once Derek said it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. What year of school is Jew? Who would help her disappear? And why? For 3 months, I lived in limbo. I went to work, came home, stared at my phone, waited for news that never came. I lost 15 pounds, stopped sleeping. My boss pulled me aside and asked if I was okay. I lied and said I was fine. I wasn't fine. I was falling apart. Derek kept investigating but found nothing. No credit card charges, no phone records, no social media activity. Sarah had deleted all her accounts. It was like she'd been erased from the digital world. "I'm sorry, man," Derek said after 2 months. "I've exhausted every lead. Either she's getting professional help covering her tracks, or she really doesn't want to be found." "Keep looking," I said. "Please, it's your money," Derek said. But I'm not optimistic. Then, 4 months after Sarah vanished, something happened. I was scrolling through Facebook one night, something I rarely did anymore, when I saw a post from Sarah's college roommate, a woman named Jennifer who I'd met maybe 3 times. The post was a photo. Jennifer at some kind of fancy brunch, champagne, decorative plates, pretty tablescape. And in the background, barely visible, was a woman who looked exactly like Sarah. My hands started shaking. I zoomed in on the photo. The resolution was terrible, pixelated and blurry, but I was 90% sure it was her. I sent Derek the photo immediately. "Find out where this was taken," I said. "Find out who that woman is." Derek worked fast. The restaurant was in Portland, Oregon, 2 hours south of Seattle. The photo had been posted 2 days earlier. "I'll head down there tomorrow," Derek said. "See what I can dig up." 3 days later, Derek called me with news that made my blood run cold. "I found her, Marcus, and there's something you need to know." My heart stopped. "Is she okay? Is she hurt?" "She's fine, more than fine actually. She's engaged." The word didn't make sense. "Engaged? What are you talking about?" I followed her from an apartment complex in downtown Portland to a jewelry store. She was with a man. They were looking at wedding bands. I got photos. He sent them to my phone. I opened the first one and felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "Sarah?" My Sarah, smiling, laughing, holding hands with a man I'd never seen before. "Who is he?" My voice didn't sound like my own. "His name is David Richardson, 38, CEO of a marketing firm, divorced, no kids. Worth about $3 million. They've been together for at least 6 months, maybe longer. 6 months. She'd been cheating on me for at least 6 months before she left." "There's more," Derek said. I talked to one of her neighbors. "Sarah's been telling people her name is Sarah Martin, her maiden name. She's claiming she's never been married." My vision blurred. I couldn't breathe. "She's lying about me? About our marriage?" "Looks that way. And Marcus?" "There's something else. I found a wedding registry. The date is set for 3 weeks from now." That's when it hit me. She wasn't planning to divorce me. She was planning to commit bigamy, which meant she'd made a massive, prosecutable mistake. He took everything. Our marriage, our home, my trust, my sanity. He left me with nothing, or so he thought. The next 2 weeks were the darkest of my life. I stopped going to work. I told my boss I needed emergency family leave. He didn't ask questions. I looked like hell, so he probably assumed someone had died. In a way, someone had. I spent entire days in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how this had happened. How the woman I married, the woman I trusted with everything, could do something like this. I replayed every conversation we'd ever had, every promise she'd made, every lie she'd told. Had any of it been real, or was I just a stepping stone, a practice husband? The worst part was the shame. I felt stupid, blind, pathetic. Everyone probably knew, I thought, her friends, her coworkers, maybe even my friends. Maybe I was the only idiot who didn't see it coming. I stopped answering my phone, stopped checking email, let the mail pile up. The house we were supposed to grow old in together, became a tomb. I thought about calling her parents, telling them what she'd done. But what would I even say? "Your daughter abandoned me and is marrying someone else while we're still legally married." I couldn't. The words wouldn't come. My bank account was draining. Derek's investigation had cost $12,000. I'd burned through most of my savings searching for someone who didn't want to be found. I had maybe 3 months of mortgage payments left. After that, I didn't know, didn't care. One night I drove to the liquor store and bought a bottle of whiskey. I don't even drink whiskey, but I needed something, anything to make the pain stop. I sat in my car in the parking lot, bottle unopened, and I cried. Not quiet tears, full body sobs, the kind of crying that makes you feel like you're drowning. A woman knocked on my window. She looked concerned. "Are you okay?" she asked through the glass. I wasn't okay. I would never be okay again. But I nodded and drove home, left the bottle unopened on the kitchen counter, sat on the couch in the dark. This is where my life ends, I thought. Not with a bang, with a whimper. I sat in my car outside the courthouse, divorce papers in hand, and thought about just disappearing. Starting over somewhere no one knew me, becoming invisible. But then something stopped me. A thought, a memory, our marriage certificate. We'd gotten married in Washington State, which meant our marriage was registered with the state, which meant it was public record, which meant Sarah couldn't marry David without committing a crime, unless she'd somehow hidden it. But how could she? You can't just erase a legal marriage. I Googled it, spent hours reading legal websites, forums, case studies. Bigamy in Washington State is a Class C felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. If I could prove Sarah married David while still legally married to me, she'd be arrested, criminally charged. Her perfect new life would implode. But I needed proof. Not just photos of a wedding registry. Actual proof that the marriage happened. I needed to go to that wedding. Then I remembered something she forgot about. When we bought the house, we'd listed each other as beneficiaries on all our accounts, life insurance, retirement funds, everything. I called the mortgage company, talked to our account manager. I need to know if Sarah Chen has tried to remove herself from the mortgage, I said. There was typing, clicking, a long pause. No, sir. Both names are still on the account. Is there a reason you're asking? Just checking. Thank you. She hadn't removed her name, which meant she hadn't told David about the house. About me, she was living a complete lie. I called Derek. I need you to find out everything about this wedding, I said. The date, the venue, the time, everything. What are you planning, Marcus? I'm planning to let Sarah make the biggest mistake of her life. And then I'm going to make sure she pays for it. Derek was quiet for a moment. Are you sure you want to do this? Once you go down this road, I'm already down this road, Derek. I've been down it for 6 months. I just didn't realize it, he sighed. Okay, give me a few days. 5 days later, Derek sent me everything. The venue, a historic church in Portland. The date and time. The guest list, even the name of the photographer. They're not doing a big reception, Derek said. Just a ceremony and a small dinner after. 50 guests, maybe 60. Perfect. Marcus, I have to ask, what exactly are you going to do? I'm going to watch my wife commit a felony, I said. And then I'm going to introduce myself to her new husband. That's insane. No, Derek, what's insane is thinking you can destroy someone and walk away without consequences. I booked a hotel room in Portland, bought a dark suit, rented a car, planned my route. I wasn't going there to make a scene. I was going there to gather evidence. And once I had that evidence, I was going to burn Sarah's entire world to the ground. He thought I was broken. He had no idea I was building. I spent the next week preparing like I was going to war, because in a way, I was. First, I consulted with a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a family law specialist who'd handled high-conflict divorces. Her name was Patricia Webb. She was expensive, blunt, and exactly what I needed. Tell me everything, she said during our initial consultation. I did. The disappearance, the investigation, the discovery, the upcoming wedding. Patricia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair and smiled. Actually smiled. This is the most clear-cut case of bigamy I've seen in 15 years, she said. So I can press charges? You can absolutely press charges, but Marcus, I need you to understand something. If you go through with this, there's no going back. Your wife will be arrested. She'll have a criminal record. It will destroy her career, her reputation, everything. Good, Patricia. Studied me. I had to ask. Some clients get cold feet, but you're sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Then here's what we're going to do. She laid out the plan. I needed to document everything. Photos of the ceremony, a copy of the marriage license if possible. Witness statements. Then we'd file a police report with evidence attached. The district attorney would take it from there. The tricky part, Patricia explained, is that we need to prove the second marriage actually happened. If she gets cold feet at the altar, we don't have a case. She's not getting cold feet, I said. I've seen the registry, the invitations, she's all in. Then we wait, let her commit the crime, and then we strike. I left Patricia's office feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Hope, not the soft, fragile hope of maybe things will work out. The hard, sharp hope of justice. Next, I needed to transform myself. Sarah would be looking for a broken man. I needed to look like someone she wouldn't recognize. I went to the gym, started running every morning. Not because I cared about fitness, because I needed to channel my rage into something productive. I got a haircut. A real one, not the cheap clips I usually got. The stylist shaped it, styled it, made me look like I actually gave a damn. I bought new clothes, not expensive, but well-fitted, professional. I needed to look like someone who belonged at a wedding, not a stalker lurking in shadows. My boss called to check on me. "How are you holding up?" he asked. "Better," I said, and I meant it. "I'll be back next week. No rush, Marcus. Take the time you need. I appreciate it, but I'm ready to get back to normal, whatever normal meant now." The week before the wedding, Derek sent me one final update. "I've been watching the venue," he said. "Security is light. It's an old church, so there's only one main entrance, but there are side doors that lead to the balcony. If you want to stay hidden, that's your best bet. Will anyone check for invitations? Probably not. It's a small wedding. They're expecting people they know. If you dress appropriately and act like you belong, no one will question you." "What about photos?" "The photographer will be focused on the couple and the front rows. If you stay in the back, you'll be fine." I went over the plan obsessively, every detail, every potential problem. I couldn't afford mistakes. 3 days before the wedding, I drove to Portland, checked into my hotel, did a drive-by of the church. It was beautiful, historic. The kind of place you dream about getting married in, the kind of place Sarah and I should have renewed our vows someday. I felt a twist of anger so sharp it took my breath away. She gets this, the fairy tale wedding, the rich husband, the fresh start, and I got betrayal, but not for long. The night before the wedding, I barely slept. I kept running through scenarios. What if she sees me? What if David recognizes me somehow? What if security kicks me out? I thought about calling the whole thing off, just filing for divorce and walking away. But then I remembered her face at that company holiday party, the way she looked at me with pity, like I was something small, insignificant, forgettable. No, she needed to understand what she'd done, and the only way that would happen is if I showed her. I got up at 5 in the morning, showered, put on my suit, checked my phone for the 10th time to make sure I had the address right. The wedding was at 2 p.m. I planned to arrive at 1:30, right when guests would be filing in. I stood in front of the mirror and barely recognized myself. I looked like someone who'd survived, someone who'd fought back, someone who was about to win. I drove to the church, parked 2 blocks away. Walked slowly, hands in pockets, breathing steady. The church bells rang once as I approached. A sign maybe, or maybe just a bell. I waited until a group of guests arrived, 3 couples, dressed formally, laughing about something. I joined them casually, like I was with them, and walked through the door. No one stopped me, no one even looked twice. Inside, the church was stunning, stained glass windows, wooden pews, flowers everywhere, white roses, lilies, baby's breath, the kind of arrangements that cost thousands of dollars. I spotted the side staircase Derek mentioned, slipped away from the crowd and climbed to the balcony. From up there, I had a perfect view of the altar, the front rows, everything. I pulled out my phone and set it to silent, positioned it to take photos and video. Then I waited. Guests filtered in. 50, maybe 60 people, just like Derek said. I didn't recognize any of them. Sarah's family wasn't there. That struck me as odd. Why wouldn't her parents be at her wedding, unless she hadn't told them? Music started. Classical. Elegant. E.B. The kind of music Sarah always said she wanted at our wedding, but we couldn't afford. The groom entered first. David Richardson, tall, confident, smiling. He looked genuinely happy. He had no idea his bride was a liar. Then the processional began. Bridesmaids in lavender dresses. A flower girl who couldn't have been more than 4 years old. And then Sarah. She walked down the aisle alone. No father to give her away. Just her, in a white dress that probably cost more than our first car. She was glowing, radiant, happier than I'd ever seen her, and I hated her for it. David took her hands. They faced the pastor. The ceremony began. I recorded everything. The date was set. Court date, wedding day, board meeting. He had no idea what was coming. The ceremony was beautiful, picture perfect. Everything Sarah had ever wanted. The pastor spoke about love and commitment, about trust and partnership, about 2 people becoming one. I almost laughed. The irony was too much. "Do you, Sarah Martin, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" "I do." I took a photo, then another, then a short video. Evidence. "Do you, David Richardson, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." More photos. My hands were steady. I felt nothing but cold focus. "By the power vested in me by the state of Oregon, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." They kissed. The guests applauded. Sarah laughed, that bright, musical laugh I used to love. I stopped recording. It was done. She'd committed the crime. Now I just needed the final piece of proof. The guests filed out after the ceremony. I stayed hidden in the balcony, watching. Sarah and David posed for photos on the church steps. Their photographer snapped hundreds of shots, candid, formal, solo, together. They looked like any other newlywed couple, happy, in love. beginning their life together, except it was all built on a lie. After 30 minutes, the crowd dispersed. Sarah and David climbed into a vintage car, probably a rental for the day, and drove off toward their reception. I waited another 10 minutes. Then I descended from the balcony, walked out of the church, and headed straight for the county clerk's office. In Oregon, marriage licenses become public record within 24 hours. But the clerk's office was open until 4 p.m. on Saturdays for emergency filings. I arrived at 3:45. "Can I help you?" the clerk asked. She was young, bored-looking, probably counting down the minutes until she could leave. "I need to request a copy of a marriage license," I said. "Filed today." She looked at me strangely. "Today? The license won't be officially recorded until Monday." "I understand, but the couple was married this afternoon. They should have submitted the signed license. Can you check?" She sighed but typed into her computer. Names, David Richardson and Sarah Martin. More typing, clicking. Then she frowned. "Yeah, it's here. They dropped it off about 20 minutes ago. But like I said, it won't be official until, can I get a copy? Not until Monday when it's recorded." I leaned forward, lowered my voice, made it urgent. "Ma'am, I'm an attorney representing a client in a legal matter involving one of these individuals. I have reason to believe this marriage is fraudulent. If you could provide me with a certified copy or even just confirm the details, it would be incredibly helpful." She looked at me suspiciously. "Do you have a court order?" "Not yet. But I can get one by Monday if necessary. I'm just trying to move quickly to prevent further legal complications." She studied me for a long moment. Then she glanced around the empty office. "I can't give you a copy," she said slowly. "But I can tell you what the form says, off the record. That would be extremely helpful." She looked at her screen. David Richardson, age 38. Sarah Martin, age 31. Both listed as single, never married. License was filed at 3:15 this afternoon by the efficient Reverend Thomas Moore, never married. She'd lied on a legal document. "Thank you," I said. "You've been very helpful." I walked out of the clerk's office with everything I needed. Photos, video, witness confirmation, a signed legal document with false information. I called Patricia immediately. "It's done," I said. "She did it. I have proof." "Send me everything," Patricia said. "Photos, videos, documentation. I'll start drafting the criminal complaint. We can file Monday morning. What happens then? Then we wait for the police to arrest her." I sat in my car, hands shaking not from fear but from adrenaline. For 6 months, I'd felt powerless, abandoned, destroyed. Now I held all the power. Sarah had no idea what was coming. She was probably at her reception right now, dancing with her new husband, toasting to her future, a future that was about to implode. I drove back to Seattle that night. The entire drive, I felt lighter. Like a weight I'd been carrying had finally lifted. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was someone who'd fought back. Sunday, I organized all the evidence, created a timeline, wrote a detailed statement, printed everything out and put it in a folder labeled Sarah Chen Bigamy. Monday morning, I met Patricia at her office at 8 a.m. "This is good work, Marcus," she said, flipping through the documents. "Really good. The district attorney is going to love this case. It's open and shut. How long until she's arrested? Depends on how fast the police move. Could be a few days, could be a week. But it will happen. What should I do in the meantime? Nothing. Don't contact her. Don't post anything." 10. What Psalm was on social media. "Don't tell anyone what you're planning. Just let the system work." I nodded. "And after she's arrested? Then we file for divorce. Given the circumstances, abandonment, adultery, fraud, you'll get everything. The house, the assets. She won't have a leg to stand on." I left Patricia's office and went straight to work. My boss was surprised to see me. "You look different," he said. "I feel different," I said. And I did. For the first time in half a year, I felt like myself again. That week, I worked harder than I'd worked in months. I finished projects that had been languishing. I attended meetings. I laughed at coworkers' jokes. People noticed. "It's good to have you back," my manager said. "It's good to be back." On Wednesday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Portland area code," I answered. "Mr. Chen? This is Detective Lisa Park with the Portland Police Department. I'm calling regarding a complaint filed against Sarah Chen. Do you have a few minutes to talk?" My heart started pounding. "Yes, absolutely. We've reviewed the evidence you submitted. I have to say, this is one of the most well-documented cases I've seen. We're planning to arrest Ms. Chen tomorrow morning. I wanted to give you a heads up." "Thank you. Just to confirm you're willing to testify if this goes to trial?" "Absolutely." "Great. We'll be in touch. And Mr. Chen, I'm sorry for what you've been through, but you did the right thing." I hung up and sat very still. Tomorrow. She'd be arrested tomorrow. I imagined the scene, police showing up at her door, or maybe at David's door. The look on her face when she realized what was happening. The fear, the panic, the understanding that her perfect lie had shattered. I smiled. Every night I reviewed the files. Every morning I got stronger. Every day he got more careless. Thursday morning I took a personal day. Told my boss I had an appointment. He didn't ask questions. I didn't know exactly when the arrest would happen, but I wanted to be available, just in case. At 10:15 a.m. my phone rang. Portland number again. Mr. Chen, this is Detective Park. I wanted to inform you that we arrested Sarah Chen approximately 30 minutes ago. She's being processed now. Where did you arrest her? At her residence in Portland. Her husband was present. I could hear the awkwardness in her voice. How did she react? She denied everything at first, said it was a mistake, that you were lying. But when we showed her the marriage certificate from Washington State, she went quiet. Her husband was not pleased. I can imagine. We'll be filing formal charges today. The arraignment will probably be Friday or Monday. You don't need to be there, but you're welcome to attend if you'd like. I'll be there. I hung up and sat on my couch trying to process what I was feeling. Relief, satisfaction, vindication, but also something darker, something like grief. Because no matter what Sarah had done to me, there was a part of me that still remembered the woman I'd married, the woman I'd loved. That woman was gone. Maybe she'd never really existed. I called Derek. She was arrested this morning, I said. I heard. It's all over the Portland news. Local woman arrested for bigamy. Pretty big story, apparently. Really? Yeah, man. It's not every day someone gets busted for marrying two people. The media loves this stuff. You might want to prepare for attention. I don't want attention. I want her to pay for what she did. She will. Trust me. This kind of charge doesn't just go away. The arraignment was scheduled for Monday morning. I took another personal day and drove to Portland. The courthouse was smaller than I expected. Older. The kind of building that had probably been standing for 100 years. I arrived early and found a seat in the back of the courtroom. It was mostly empty, just a few lawyers, a clerk, and a handful of other people waiting for their cases to be called. Then Sarah was brought in. She was wearing an orange jumpsuit, no makeup, hair pulled back. She looked exhausted, scared, small. When she scanned the courtroom, her eyes landed on me. For a moment, neither of us moved. We just stared at each other across the room. I didn't smile, didn't wave, just looked at her. Let her see that I was there. That I'd watched her entire world collapse. Her face went pale. She looked away quickly, whispered something to her public defender. The judge entered. We all stood. Case number 8047B, State of Oregon versus Sarah Chen, charge of bigamy. Your Honor, my client wishes to enter a plea of not guilty. Of course she did. The judge looked at the paperwork. Bail is set at $50,000. Next hearing is scheduled for 3 weeks from today. The gavel came down. Sarah was led away. She didn't look at me again. But as she walked past, I heard her whisper something to her lawyer. I need to talk to him. I waited outside the courtroom. 20 minutes later, Sarah emerged with her public defender, a tired-looking woman in her 40s. Mr. Chen, the lawyer said, my client would like to speak with you. I've advised her not to, but she's insisting. I'll talk to her. The lawyer sighed. Fine, but keep it short. And Sarah, don't say anything stupid. Sarah looked at me. Up close, she looked worse. Dark circles under her eyes, chapped lips. She'd been crying. Marcus, she said quietly, can we talk? Somewhere private? I gestured to a bench outside the courthouse. We sat down. The lawyer stood a few feet away, watching us. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. I'm sorry, Sarah finally said. I laughed. I couldn't help it. You're sorry? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? That I made a mistake? That I wish I could take it back? Do you? She looked down at her hands. I don't know. You don't know. Marcus, you don't understand. Our marriage, it wasn't working. You know it wasn't. We were miserable. So you left, without a word, without even trying to fix it. There was nothing to fix. We weren't right for each other. We never were. Then why marry me in the first place? Why waste 8 years of my life? It wasn't a waste. Yes, it was. My voice rose. People walking by glanced over. I lowered it. You left me, Sarah. You vanished. I thought you were dead. I spent thousands of dollars searching for you. And the whole time, you were in Portland, playing house with some rich guy, pretending I didn't exist. I know, and I'm sorry. But did you really have to do this? Press charges? Ruin? Why? My life? I stared at her. You ruined your own life. I just held you accountable. You could have just divorced me. We could have handled this quietly. I tried to find you, Sarah, for months. You didn't want to be found. So I did what I had to do. She started crying then. Real, ugly tears. They're going to send me to prison, Marcus. My career is over. David left me. My family won't speak to me. I have nothing. Welcome to the club. She looked at me, shocked. That's how I felt when you disappeared, I continued. Like I had nothing, no wife, no answers, no closure, just emptiness, so forgive me if I don't feel bad for you. What do you want, Marcus? Money? The house? I'll give you whatever you want. Just drop the charges, please. I don't want your money. I want justice. This isn't justice. This is revenge. Maybe, but you earned it. I stood up, looked down at her. You're going to go to trial. You're going to lose. And when you're sitting in a cell, I want you to think about what you did. Not just to me, to yourself. Because you did this, Sarah, not me, you. I walked away. She called after me. Marcus, please. I didn't turn around. Her lawyer caught up to me before I reached my car. Mr. Chen, wait. I stopped. What? Look, I'm going to level with you. My client is facing serious time. If this goes to trial, she's looking at 3 to 5 years. She has no priors, so she might get a lighter sentence, but it's still prison. Is there any way we can resolve this? Maybe a plea deal? Talk to the district attorney. Not me. I did. They won't offer a deal unless you agree to it. Then she's going to trial, the lawyer sighed. You have every right to be angry, but think about what you're doing. Do you really want to send your ex-wife to prison? Yes, even if it means she loses everything, her career, her reputation, her freedom. She made her choice. Now she gets to live with it. The lawyer studied me for a moment. You're a harder man than I thought. No, I said. I'm just a man who's done being a doormat. As they let him out, he looked back at me one last time. I didn't look away. I didn't need to. 3 weeks later, I attended the preliminary hearing. Sarah's lawyer tried every angle, argued that the evidence was circumstantial, that Sarah had been confused about her marital status, that she'd intended to divorce me but hadn't gotten around to it. The judge wasn't buying it. Mrs. Chen, you signed a legal document claiming you'd never been married. That's not confusion. That's fraud. Case proceeds to trial. Patricia argued that Sarah had abandoned the marriage, committed adultery, and defrauded me. The judge agreed. Mr. Chen is awarded sole ownership of the marital home, all joint assets, and full reimbursement for legal fees and investigation costs. Mr. Chen is entitled to nothing. I got everything. The house, the savings, even the car that was technically in both our names. Sarah's family finally reached out. Her mother called me one evening. Marcus, I need you to know we had no idea what Sarah was doing. She told us you two were separated, that the divorce was amicable. We didn't know about David. We didn't know about any of this. I believe you, Mrs. Martin. She's my daughter. I love her, but what she did to you, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Is there any way you could drop the charges? She's going through so much. She's lost everything. I lost everything 6 months ago, I said quietly, and no one asked her to show me mercy. Mrs. Martin started crying. Please, Marcus, she's going to prison. Isn't that enough? No, it's not. I hung up. I felt bad. Mrs. Martin was a kind woman. She didn't deserve this pain. But Sarah had made her choices, and choices have consequences. David Richardson, Sarah's second husband, filed for an annulment. It was granted immediately. The marriage was declared void. According to Derek, who kept tabs on the situation, David was furious. He'd been completely blindsided. He genuinely believed Sarah had never been married. He's telling everyone who'll listen that she's a con artist, Derek told me. His business reputation took a hit too. People are questioning his judgment. Good. You're cold, Marcus. No, I'm just done being the nice guy. At work, I got a promotion. My manager said it was because of my recent performance, but I think it was also because people felt bad for me. The story had made local news. Software engineer's wife arrested for bigamy. My colleagues were supportive, sympathetic. I hated the attention, but I accepted their kindness. One night, I was cleaning out the house, boxing up Sarah's things to donate when I found an old photo album, pictures from our wedding, our honeymoon, birthdays, holidays, 8 years of memories. I sat on the floor and flipped through it, looking at Sarah's smile, her laugh, the way she used to look at me. Had any of it been real, or was I just a placeholder until something better came along? I didn't have an answer. Maybe I never would. I threw the album in the donation box. Some things you just have to let go of. The trial started in late March. The prosecution's case was airtight. They had everything: photos, videos, marriage certificates, testimony from the clerk, testimony from me. Sarah's defense was weak. They tried to argue that she'd been emotionally distressed, that she hadn't been thinking clearly, that she deserved leniency. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. The sentencing hearing was 2 weeks later. I attended. The judge looked at Sarah with something like pity. Mrs. Chen, you committed a serious crime. You lied on legal documents. You defrauded a man who loved you. You broke the law for your own selfish gain. However, on taking into account that you have no prior criminal record and that you've expressed remorse, Sarah nodded, crying, I sentence you to 2 years in prison, followed by 3 years probation. You'll also be required to pay restitution to Mr. Chen for legal fees and emotional damages in the amount of $40,000. 2 years, not as much as I'd hoped for, but enough. Sarah was led away in handcuffs. She didn't look at me this time. I left the courtroom feeling empty. I'd won. Sarah was going to prison. I had the house. I had justice. So why didn't I feel better? I heard later that she lost everything. Her reputation, her career, her new relationship ended within weeks. She'd become exactly what she'd tried to make me, nothing. But I wasn't focused on her anymore. I was focused on me. 6 months after the trial, I sold the house. I couldn't live there anymore. Every room held memories. Most of them were lies, but they still hurt. I bought a smaller place. A condo downtown with a view of the city. Modern, clean, no history, just potential. I redecorated, got rid of all the furniture Sarah and I had picked out together. Started fresh, new couch, new bed, new everything. It felt like shedding skin. At work, I continued excelling. My promotion came with more responsibility, more money, more respect. I started mentoring junior developers, taught them what I knew, found purpose in helping others grow. One of my mentees, a kid named Jason, asked me one day how I stayed so focused. "You always seem so calm," he said. "Like nothing rattles you." I smiled. "I went through something a while back. It taught me what really matters." "What's that?" "That you can't control what other people do. You can only control how you respond." Jason nodded thoughtfully. "That's deep, man." "It's also true. I started dating again. Nothing serious at first. Just coffee dates, dinners, conversations with people who didn't know my history. It was strange at first. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. For someone to lie to me, leave me, betray me. But slowly I learned to trust again. Not blindly, but carefully, intentionally. I met a woman named Lisa. She was a high school teacher. Funny, kind. She'd been divorced too. Understood what it was like to rebuild. "I'm not looking for anything serious," she told me on our 3rd date. "Neither am I said. But 6 months later, we were still together, still taking it slow, still learning about each other. "You're different than most guys I've dated," Lisa said one night. We were sitting on my balcony, drinking wine, watching the city lights. "Good different or bad different?" "Good. You're honest, direct. You don't play games." "I don't have the energy for games anymore," she smiled. "I like that about you." I told Lisa about Sarah eventually, the whole story. The disappearance, the bigamy, the trial. She listened without interrupting. "That's insane," she said when I finished. "Yeah, are you still angry?" I thought about it. Not really. I was for a long time, but anger takes energy. I'd rather spend that energy building something new than dwelling on something that's over. That's a healthy perspective. It took me a while to get here. Lisa reached over and took my hand. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you did. You're a good person, Marcus. You deserve good things. So do you." 1 year after the trial, I got a letter in the mail from Sarah. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. The letter was short, handwritten, messy. "Marcus, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I don't blame you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not because I got caught, but because I hurt you. I've had a lot of time to think in here. About what I did. About who I was. About the person I became. I was selfish. I was cruel. I was a coward. I should have talked to you. Should have been honest. Instead, I ran, and I hurt you in ways I can never undo. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I regret it. All of it. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be." Sarah, I read the letter twice. Then I folded it up and put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'd forgive her. Maybe not. But either way, it didn't matter anymore. She was a chapter in my life that was over. I turned the page. I learned that revenge isn't about destroying someone else. It's about refusing to let them destroy you. 2 years after everything started, I stood in the same church where Sarah had married David. The church was hosting a tech conference. I was one of the speakers. As I walked through the doors, I remembered the last time I'd been there, hiding in the balcony, watching my wife commit a crime, planning my revenge. Now I was here as someone different, stronger, successful, free. After my presentation, a young guy approached me. He couldn't have been more than 25. "That was a great talk," he said. "Really inspiring." "Thanks. Can I ask you something? You mentioned going through a difficult time a few years ago. What got you through it?" I thought about his question. I refused to let someone else's actions define my future. I could have stayed angry. I could have given up, but I chose to fight back, not with anger, with action. That's powerful. It's also simple. We all face betrayals, losses, setbacks. The question isn't whether it happens, it's what we do. After, the guy nodded. I needed to hear that. Thank you. As he walked away, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace, not the temporary kind, the deep, lasting kind, the kind that comes from knowing you survived something that should have broken you. I walked out of the church into the sunlight, took a deep breath, smiled. Life was good, not perfect, but good, and that was enough. Final message: if you're going through something like this right now, here's what I want you to know. The people who betray you are counting on you staying silent. They're counting on you feeling ashamed. They're counting on you giving up. Don't give them what they want. Document everything. Trust your instincts. Find people who believe you. And remember, the truth doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be heard by the right people at the right time. I'm not special. I'm not unusually strong or smart. I'm just someone who refused to disappear. You can refuse too. I learned that you can lose everything: your marriage, your home, your sense of self, and still come back stronger. Not because you're superhuman, but because you're human. And humans are resilient. Betrayal doesn't break you unless you let it. I chose not to let it. So here's my advice. If someone walks out of your life without explanation, let them. Don't chase them. Don't beg them to come back. Just document everything, protect yourself legally, and move forward. The truth has a way of revealing itself. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it takes effort, but it always comes out, and when it does, make sure you're ready. Comment below which city you're watching from, and if this story helped you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. To everyone out there fighting their own battles in silence, I see you. Keep going, because you're stronger than you think, you're braver than you feel, and you deserve justice. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. See you in the next story. Stay strong.